My name is Carmi Palafox, an urban planner and economist. Welcome to Beyond Places, the podcast about the planning, design, and leadership of the communities and cities that we call home. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Places. I'm really very happy to introduce our guest for today. He played a crucial role in transforming Seoul, Korea into a world-class city. He served the Seoul municipal government for over 30 years, including as assistant mayor for infrastructure and director general for urban planning. His many contributions have earned him the Medal of Merit in 1993 and the Order of Merit in 2006 by the Korean government. He has broad and practical experiences in city planning and urban infrastructure, from strategic policy making, planning, and implementation to operation. He will be sharing with us these experiences today. Welcome, Dr. Keun Lee.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's my great pleasure to say something about my city, Seoul.
Thank you, and it's nice to see you again, and I'm glad you're doing well, Dr. Lee.
Thank you. I'm also very happy to meet you again.
So thank you for your time today. And for our international listeners, if you can please start with giving us a general description about your city.
Right. So Seoul is getting popular. So Seoul is becoming the central Far Eastern area. But it was very small and very undeveloped city until mid-1960s. But now it's a world-class city, but it changed during the last 60 years very much. It's an unusual, development from tiny little city to world-class city. And also you can enjoy anything, in Seoul. By the way, when you hear about Seoul, what reminds you of this city?
A few words that come to mind, although I must say I've never been to Seoul. In Korea, I've only visited Jeju Island.
Wow.
But from what I've read and heard about Seoul, including from you, and a lot of my family and friends who visited, one is it's a very modern city. Two, in such a short span of time, it became, like the symbol of a developing country into one of the most developed and most advanced. Another as well, there's this growing popularity of K-pop, Korean culture in movies, in music and entertainment. And, there's this, I could imagine there's a surge of tourists in Seoul and Korea because of the entertainment industry.
Oh, thank you very much. So I'm very glad to hear that. And also, we invest very much on research and development. So maybe very much technical oriented, and you are the leader to develop new stuff and the new technology. So I think we are very proud of that.
May I ask how that came about? Was it because of this, this massive movement was it from the grassroots level, or was it because of leadership that said we really have to invest in R&D?
I think it's both directions, but initially the leadership from the top was crucial to change this city and this country to develop status. But now it's grassroots. The movement is very, very strong. Yeah. But it changed from the top to the bottom now. Yeah.
When was the time when the shift started? What year was that, and in which leadership?
I think it's middle of 90s. I think it's our turning point, because I think our development period started early 60s to middle of 90s, and we entered the other era. So more human-oriented and more environmental direction. We changed it from mid-90s.
So, you are a city planner and an urban infrastructure expert. Can you please describe the work that you do?
Actually, I'm a civil engineer basically because I studied civil engineering at the university. But as you know, the civil engineering job is the government's role is very important. So when I graduated the university, I decided to join the government, and I passed the civil service examination, and I joined the government immediately after my graduation. And I worked for the city government to build basic infrastructure. At that time, we are very, very busy to provide enough infrastructure for increasing population. So you built roads, subways, and the water supply system. And I worked for the as a junior engineer there. But uh, since I promoted to the director level, it was early 90s, I should be involved in policy making and strategic planning, and also urban planning. So I did not study urban planning systematically, but I learned planning, urban planning on site actually. While I'm working for the municipality, I learned how to plan and how to develop in the beginning from the infrastructure, but later to the overall city strategy.
What influenced you to pursue this career path in terms of being involved with city shaping?
Right, it's rather difficult for me, but actually I started to build infrastructure for the municipality, as a civil engineer. But infrastructure is a backbone of the modern city. So when I worked for the, uh, the government in the beginning, I did not realize how it was important. But later, I realized it's very important and also it's crucial to maintain our city vibrant.
So you were the Director General of the Cheonggyecheon, I hope I'm saying it correctly,
Yeah.
restoration. So, it's really world renowned. And I can imagine, just how challenging a project it was. If you can please tell us about it, how it was first even conceptualized as a project, and then if you can take us through the process of it.
Yes, Cheonggyecheon project is it's not by a few not by a few people, but by the whole government, city government, and also by the whole citizens, I think. Yeah. Uh, it's a Cheonggyecheon is a little stream in the center of Seoul, really center of Seoul in the CBD area. But it was our headache during development period because it's something like open sewer system. Even though it was a stream, but it was quite polluted. So they decided in 1950s until 1970s, they decided to cover the stream with concrete and utilize the covered area as a concrete road. So they are very amazed because they have new open space and that they can utilize as a road. Uh, and then even they built flyover, expressway, over the concrete road. It became our backbone corridor, backbone arterial in the central area. But it was forgotten to almost most of citizens, So, however, after mid-90s, we tried to restore the stream. The voice was very small in the beginning, Some historians, some academics, they asked the government to, restore the river. But, their opinion was not properly heard. However, in early 2000, there was a local election, the mayoral election. One candidate, he proposed to restore the river. But actually, a civil servant like me, we know how it was so difficult, because it's a traffic corridor. So we did not believe it can be done, but he proposed during the election campaign, and the citizens, they replied yes. He was elected as the mayor, and he started the work just after inauguration. It was 2002, first day of July. And then we planned from the scratch to the end. It took less than one year. And actual work started just after 1 year, first day of 2003. And then we worked 24 hours a day, almost, and we restored the river and opened to the public the first day of October 2005. It took only 27 months. And then actually, it was quite great job, but it was very, very difficult job, during planning and also during implementation. So during planning stage, we heard various voices from the bottom, from the top, and various from academics, and also we prepared very, very well, very well. And the actual, particularly we had a very tough time with a merchant nearby the stream. But we shared our vision with them, and also it was quite successful. And we worked. The outcome was great, outcome was great. Over 90% of citizens, they gave very positive response, and the outcome to the environment, traffic, and every aspect, it became a great job. And the mayor was very successful due to this project, and later he was elected as a president of the country. And physically, we restored the river, but it was not simple river restoration project. The project was to revitalize the city. So it's a sort of urban regeneration project. So we changed the gray area to very bright and a very wonderful, waterfront, and the city area, whole the CBD area became very, very vibrant. I'm very proud of that, and so it's a beginning point to change our central area.
I think it's a really beautiful story, and like I said, I've never been to Seoul, but it's become one of the poster boys whenever you see images of Seoul. The stream is definitely one of them. I'm curious to know, because as you mentioned, it wasn't just a matter of cleaning the waterway. As you mentioned, there were layers. There was a road, it was concreted into a road, and then there was even a flyover expressway on top of it. In many developing countries, there's still this perception by both leaders and citizens that, oh, it might negatively affect traffic and movement if we replace flyovers and remove flyovers and, change them into walkways and pedestrian passages or even public transport. When you were presenting it as an idea to replace the expressway with perhaps other modes, how was it sold as an idea?
It depends on the time, I think. As I talked before, when you decide to cover the stream with the concrete, it was really good idea at that time. But time passes. Now, nobody wants to cover the stream in Seoul, I think, or in Korea now. But if some countries may need to cover with concrete, but later they can utilize or they can restore. But it depends on their situation. And also, uh, when you restore the river, and that they were very worried about traffic transport congestion, transport congestion. And also it happened, of course, yes, in the beginning. Yeah? But we persuaded people not to drive in the central area. And also we improved the public transportation in Seoul. And it worked very, very good afterwards. And also during this transition period, we developed and we integrated the public transportation system very well. And actually, it was separated subway system and the bus system, but we combined to integrate this public transportation system. It worked very well. So the point is how to prepare. If we prepare very well, we can overcome anything, I think.
Yes, and it's many years of preparation. Um,
Yeah, of course.
you were involved in, is it subway line 6, 7, 8, and 9?
Right, Subway is a great asset for Seoul, I think. Say their daily ridership is over 10 million now. It's great. So invisible, but it's our backbone traffic infrastructure. So when you decide to build subway, it was late 60s. The population of Seoul reached around 5 million. And the city government proposed to build subway. The central government rejected. And also they said, if Seoul started to build subway, our country may collapse due to the financial difficulties. However, you overcome, and we succeeded to persuade the central government, and we opened our first subway 1974, and then added, every year. Now, the total length is almost 400 kilometers in the city boundary. And without this subway system, Seoul won't work. So this infrastructure, is sometimes difficult, and sometimes we are struggling to have enough budget, but we need some long horizon to invest my generation and also for the next generation. So, uh, so I admire my seniors who decided to build subway in Seoul, and also it is quite good network. And if we come to Seoul, you may amaze our wonderful system, I think. So, because Seoul subway is very vast, but and also you can find any stations in the central area within your walking distance, say 400-500 meters, and also very cheap and very clean and very punctual.
So how is it affordable to citizens? Is it subsidized by the government?
Yes, I think so. I think so. Because it's public transportation, If you ride the subway, public transport, you may expect something, The when you pay some, say $1, your service is maybe $2. So that's why you use. Otherwise, you spend $1 and expect half 50 cents. Nobody wants to use public transport. So yeah, we subsidy, say how much? It's around 300 or 400 million US dollars a year to subway operation, I think, in Seoul.
Okay. In other cities, for example, in London and Singapore, they have like carrots and sticks. Like they have congestion charging to encourage people to take public transport instead of bringing their private car. Is there a similar situation in Seoul?
We really want to introduce congestion charges, but physically it's really difficult to introduce. You need a toll gate, to collect tolls. That's why you have only 2 points to collect congestion charges or congestion. Uh, how can I say
Charges.
congestion charges? Yes.
Yes.
So, because there are two tunnels connecting the central area, we installed collection point. But adding to these congestion charges, we have various schemes to discourage people not to drive to central area. For example, the parking space and the parking charges is quite high, parking charges. And also nowadays, do you know the road diet? Road diet, because it's say 4 to 5 very wide street. We squeezed to 3 to 2 lanes, and then the rest we utilize for the pedestrians. And it's good for the pedestrians, but not. It's very bad for the drivers. Yeah? So discourage people not to drive in central area. And also we introduced bus only lane in the median. It worked very good. So if we ride a bus, public bus, it's quicker and cheaper. So that is one way to persuade people to use public transportation. Yeah? It worked quite well in Seoul. Yeah, quite good. So we introduce variety of schemes, yeah, to use public transportation. Yeah.
And I remember you saying, Dr. Lee, when you encourage walkability as well, it encourages people to use public transport.
Yes. Yeah. So there are various options, but as a planner, we boost the development of station area. So they call it is TOD, transit-oriented development. But TOD is worked very well in Seoul, very well. So once you develop and once you build subway station, so the station will be the local center point. And we encourage people to develop, say, mixed development. And also we built various public areas, public open space, and also some basic infrastructure, sort of hospital, schools, and some shopping center to nearby the station. So that is one way to boost the, that area, and also to have more public transport ridership. Yeah? So it's very good to increase the ridership in the central area and the city, in the whole city area. Yeah. So TOD is a good way to change the city mobility, I think, and also land use as well.
I really can't wait to see Seoul, Dr. Lee, because so many cities around the world are really looking into it in terms of a good model for transit-oriented development.
But you know, Seoul is very densely populated city and also very compact. So the whole area is around 600 square kilometers, but our population is over 10 million. I do not know exact number, but in daytime, our population is over 12 million, I think. But our use of land, because Seoul is very mountainous and also we have a very wide river, but the use of land is only 400 square kilometers. But that's why it's very densely populated city, like Hong Kong central area. So somebody may not like, you know, the congested city, but it's very convenient, very convenient. And also the public transport is very good to utilize. It's easy to have enough ridership to make public transport profitable. That is one way. So that's why it's quite good for sustainable environment. It's good to make sustainable environment.
Would you know what the percentages are, Dr. Lee, in terms of, let's say, total journeys? How many percent are in subways or in buses or walking and cycling?
Yes, so in total, the public transport share is around 67%. More than 2/3 is covered by subway and bus. In whole city area for 24 hours. You know, the public transport share, the measuring system is different, you know. London and New York, they may calculate based on peak time only. Yeah, peak time only. But if you consider peak time only, the public transportation maybe around 80%, I think. Definitely over 75%, but almost 80% is covered by public transport. And walking and cycling is nominal, I think. It's just very few. 3 to 5%, I think. Yeah, 3 to 5%.
Well, Korea is one of the biggest car producers in the world. How is it managed in terms of ownership as well? Is there a big share of the population in Seoul that owns cars and uses cars?
Yes, they try to have a big car because, you know, if they have a big car, it's maybe prestigious for them. The number of cars in Seoul is just over 3 million. 3 million cars. So management is quite good, yeah, quite good. But we are struggling to have enough parking space, but it's reasonably good, yeah. And also traffic management system is getting better, But one recent trend is to remove flyovers, you know, like Cheonggyecheon. You know? We built flyovers, to increase the capacity in the cross section, but the flyovers make that area is rather gray and also shade. So nowadays the neighborhood really wants to remove the concrete structure, and we removed more than over 10 flyovers in the whole central area, and also the outcome was quite positive, positive, and the land price, the property price is going up, and alongside the previous flyover, and the traffic congestion, the traffic situation is actually is getting better than compared with the previous situation due to the management skill. So transport management skill is nowadays quite good because the IT technologies, some signal systems is we utilize the information technology, so that's why we overcome the difficulties to, even though we removed the flyover, the outcome was quite good.
Yes, I remember that story because, as you know, Dr. Lee, I'm from the Philippines, and until now, the notion is, okay, if traffic is bad, let's build more roads, even if, a lot of urban planners are advising against it. But I was amazed with your story that, in Seoul, whenever flyovers are removed, the city actually celebrates, or the neighborhood around it. So it's good to know that, it's backed by data that show traffic actually improves.
Yes, the one great example in Seoul is Gwanghwamun cross section. So Gwanghwamun area is something like Cheonggyecheon in Paris, equivalent to Cheonggyecheon. It was 1967. They built underground passage for the pedestrians. At that time, the number of cars in Seoul was around 50,000 only, very small. But they built underground passage for the smooth surface traffic, surface vehicle traffic actually. Yeah. So time passes. It took almost 37 years to make zebra crossing in the cross section. So once we built on the passage, the surface crossing, is diminished. Yeah, and the space or surface space is only for the vehicles. It took 7 years to restore the pedestrians to cross the road and to use the surface road space. And after that, few years later, it was actually the zebra crossing introduced 2004, I think, 2004, during Cheonggyecheon restoration period. And 2008, we decided to squeeze the road space 7 to 5 and make a big public square in the middle of the road, and completely changed our urban management direction from car to the people. And every corner, every usable land, now we think the human first and then the vehicles later. So we are reducing the vehicle lane to the pedestrians now. Yeah, it's enormous changes now. Yeah, enormous change, particularly in central area. CBD area, to reduce the road space to the pedestrians. So, and also we start to use the road space as well for the pedestrians. So for a particular days, say on weekends, we completely blocked that area and used for the pedestrians. A few years ago, the Pope Francis visited Seoul, and he held a mass in Gwanghwamun Square, completely blocked the cars, and we had 100,000 people. We gathered and we celebrated the Holy Mass there.
That's amazing. So it really shows that you have to show the proof of concept works, and then it helps, change the behavior of people also over time.
But it takes some time. It takes time. Yeah, it takes time.
Yes. I recall also you mentioning that during your time working with the municipal government of Seoul, there was also a shift in terms of public participation in projects. What do you think are the key ingredients that make for successful public participation?
It's crucial nowadays. Yeah? So during the development period, we are very busy to provide something for the people. Yeah. But now, it's quite stable. So they think about their environment. And also, if we try to do something for them, we have to ask them first. And you have to share our vision with them. Otherwise, we have a very difficulties to make something for them. Even though we think it's good for them, but they don't think so. So we have various schemes to share and to invite their voices. And also you organize various occasions and events to share our vision with them. And also raise the public conception that it's like education or some public outreach to the school kids is very good, very good. So time passes and they know something, they have to do something for us. So the public participation is good tool to share our vision.
You are experienced in running research organizations focusing on urban development, housing construction, and smart cities. Can you please tell us more about this, particularly the Future City Open Innovation Center, post-tech?
I left the government in early 2012. And then I joined the universities and also research institute. So city is always, showing the best technology standard of their area or their city, their time. So until now, our city is physically very, very well developed city. But what is a new technology? New technology is IC technology. So information and the communication technologies. We try to combine this IC technology to the traditional technology. Say, give some life to the concrete structure. So it makes concrete structure like a living creature. So that kind of research is going on in various Korean, say, engineering and also urban related research institutions. So post-tech, yes, Future City Open Innovation Center, and also Land and Housing Institute. Is we focused on smart city technology. So we developed the detailed design, and also we try to combine the latest technologies from computer science and electronic science and the mechanical science, engineering. We combine their concept and their outcome to the city development. That is a basic concept of research activities I was involved in. That makes our city smarter, smart and more efficient, more efficient. So one thing now we employ or now we are developed is COVID-19 tracing system. So when you ask somebody to, you say now, we when somebody coming from other countries, we ask him or her to stay at home, say self-isolation. But how to monitor his activities, through the smartphones, quite easily. That kind of things we are utilizing this technology to combat with COVID-19 now in Seoul or in Korea.
And I think it's great how, Seoul and Korea, it doesn't, you're not keeping it within, but there's a lot of assistance. Even you yourself have been involved in terms of sharing this experience and technologies with other cities around the world.
Oh yes, it's knowledge sharing is great, and there are various schemes is undergoing. So for example, now, I'm teaching civil servants from developing countries. So we invite them to Korea to pursue the master's degree on urban management and also infrastructure development. And also we have some international organization we developed to share our knowledge. And also we developed our policy sharing website. It's very, very good. So we classify the various areas, say infrastructure and planning, healthcare system, or e-government, and we introduce what we did during the last few decades and what was outcome, what we had difficulties, such things. We shared our policy with other countries. It's a great job, I think. Yeah.
And I mean, I've known you for some time, and I consider myself fortunate to have served in advisory panels with you, two of them in China. And you're always eager to share your knowledge and experiences with developing countries. Can you please tell us about how you assisted Hanoi City to prepare the Hong River Area Development Plan?
2006 to 2007, I think, or 2008. They visited Seoul, and they are very impressed with our river management system and also the development alongside the river. And they asked us to set up their development plan in Hanoi area. So it was international cooperation program. So as a Director General of Urban Planning, I led a team to formulate their plan of Hong River area. And it took around 2 years to develop, and we not submit, but we presented our scheme to the Hanoi municipal government. Yeah, but I hope they can carry out one by one, and hope to have have a great city, great outcome in Hanoi area.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Lee. I've really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge so much. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Beyond Places. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to connect with me on social media and carmepalafox@gmail.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please do subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Bye and see you again next week.